we got to talk about the updated college football playoff rankings. It literally just happened that we saw from the committee. And the first thing we got to talk about, Dalton, the top 4 seeds are as follows: Oregon, Texas, Miami, and Boise State. Boise State, not a Big 12 team, is currently getting a first-round bye in the college football playoff. What's your initial reaction to that?
Which means, I think, Boise State, I think I just saw, is still at 12, which means BYU is probably at, 13 or 14? They're at 14. That's a huge deal. I think when you talk about then a Big 12 team, whether it be BYU or Colorado or Arizona State, they'd have to find a way to pass up Boise State. And if Boise State, you get some other teams, a couple other teams lose in front of you, not just being at 12 and then into 4, but if they can move up, or if they got to be feeling really good about that. If they don't have to play an extra game, they can sit and wait for an opponent for a week and see where it goes. But that's a big development. I think there was a lot of curiosity about how far BYU would fall, because look, we can sit here and look at all the analysis and say, well, Kansas is better than the record, but they're still going to go, well, that team's 4-6. You lost. You're the 4th win of a team. That team was 3-6 walking in there. They're going to look at that more objectively and go, yeah, not good. So I do get the reasoning behind it. I can sit here and scream that Kansas is better than their record, but your record is your record, and at some point we have to get objective about this. You lost to a 3-6 team at home. So it's not that surprising. It is visually quite shocking to see it, and it's really something. Wouldn't that be something if Boise did end up with a bye week out of all of this after everything we've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to recap the first round matchups of what it would be right now, you got Ohio State playing BYU. You got Notre Dame playing Alabama in the 8-9 game. You got Penn State playing Georgia in the 6-11 game. And you got Indiana playing Ole Miss in the 7-10 game as of right now. So I don't agree with it necessarily. I do think BYU should be – I even think they should be ranked above Miami, honestly.
The full resume probably still should be BYU over Boise State, but – again, with the rest of the conferences that aren't SEC or Big Ten, there's going to be some sort of controversy at the back end of this. But, I think all it did establish, too, though, is that the ACC and the Big 12 are going to be one-bid leagues, and it's not going to matter a whole lot. The one thing that has been mentioned is if you have BYU as a team, I think it was something like if you have BYU or Boise as potentially 2 teams outside the top 12, or there's some scenario where it's like somebody, probably an SEC team, is going to be really, really livid, as I'm sure Tennessee is with these rankings about, okay, we think we're better than a lot of these teams we should be in anyway. And because Tennessee is what? Does that mean they're number 11?
They're number 11 overall.
Yeah, so you've got a team now that's number 11 with 2 teams behind them getting in because of the conference champion thing, and I go, well, That's how we built it. And look, Tennessee got every opportunity. I mean, I still think their playoff fate at the end of it comes down to beating Vanderbilt and finishing 10-2, but they've got to be feeling like they're on that border where they could finish 10-2 and not make it.
Yeah, and one another thing too. Listen, I know head-to-head is definitely not the end-all be-all. We're seeing that with the SEC, right? With the SEC, everyone's beating up on each other. But I will say, Dawn, SMU being ranked above BYU is a travesty. SMU lost to BYU, and BYU has a much better resume than SMU.
Yeah, and that was at SMU also.
That's a travesty.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. That's why I was surprised that you said 14. I was like, who's sitting 13? And that's SMU. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, I hate that. But anyways.
But I think it's because, I don't know, it doesn't make sense really, because they lost to BYU, but then BYU lost to a team that was 3-6. How do we – it's the age-old question of how do you balance head-to-head versus other stuff. But
they beat Kansas State though by 29. I think Kansas State's better than anyone.
It's still a really good resume. It's just I don't know. We've got this. There's a whole debate to be had about what the resume is, and just assuming SEC teams are better when they've lost to different teams throughout the country and all of that. It's gonna be a thing we can never get away from. But that is a little odd.
And you did say that everyone's rooting for Army to beat Notre Dame this week, and that's true probably for the SEC schools. I don't know if that's true for Colorado. Colorado now, if you win the Big 12 and you are 2 losses,
no, they'll put Colorado in.
Just for the ratings?
In part. But also,
there's a world where 13-0 Army and a 12-1 Boise State get in over Colorado.
They will not put Army in over Colorado. They won't.
If they go 13-0 with wins over Notre Dame and Tulane,
they're not going to do it.
I don't know.
They will.
I don't know.
You know how these things go.
I don't know, man. I know how they go, but there's an argument there. There's certainly a very good argument there.
There's an argument if they were to beat Notre Dame and Tulane,
Tulane's right now number 20.
Yeah,
and Notre Dame's number 6.
We don't think they're going to win this week, but you never know. And the Tulane game will be a fantastic game. Also, Tulane's sitting there just as a team that's like, hey, we're here. We're still here. Like,
yeah, I think they definitely need Boise to lose a game.
Yeah,
they can't get in without it. But I don't know if you beat the number 6 team in the country and the number 20 team in the country.
It would be a thing.
And you're 13-0, and Colorado's got 2 losses.
But if they beat Notre Dame, then Notre Dame's out, and you still have another spot.
But Notre Dame would still be like top 15 probably.
I mean,
top 20.
At that point, would they dare make Colorado, even if they were a 6 conference champion, would they make them an at-large?
Maybe.
Only have 2 losses.
Maybe.
You'd be 11. You'd be sitting 11-2. You'd have
it's a nightmare right now.
Army could screw up the entirety of college football this week.
Yeah, they absolutely can.
They could. But no, that's interesting when you see Boise in that bye week spot and you go, now it's real. It's in front of us.
But what's big for Boise as well is that UNLV is currently number 24. So if they beat UNLV,
they ranked UNLV.
Yeah. So if they beat UNLV, it's another ranked win.
And if they do it twice, well, they may not be able to do it twice because you saw Colorado State. Right now is the most likely team to be.
Oh, right, you're right.
They're playing, so UNLV, I believe, needs Colorado State to lose a game to try to get in there.
Yeah, and officially, it's a top 5 matchup between Ohio State and Indiana, number 2 versus number 5.
I'll tell you what, the 2 games I love right here. If we did get Alabama, Notre Dame, and Ole Miss, Indiana, we'd be having a good old time. What a day that would be for the state of Indiana. Two home games like that.
Although that is a closer drive for us, I do think Penn State, Georgia would be insane environment to go to if we go to that.
I'd be a little worried for you.
I'm worried. I'm definitely worried.
I'd be so scared. I would be a little worried.
Yeah, I'm not picking Penn State to win that game.
I would be afraid of that.
I'm afraid, but I think that'd be a hell of an environment to go to because we are trying to go to a first-round game this
Absolutely.
year. So that'd be a hell of a game to go to. But obviously, long way to go before the final college football playoff rankings. Another 3 weeks left until we get to Selection Sunday. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.